All right, let's get Jan some help here, man. We probably have all been here before where you start dating somebody and things are going great, but then you're wondering, like, I wonder if my psycho ex is going to try to blow this whole thing up. Hey, Jan.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Okay, what do we got going on here with the ex and the current, and how is this guy going to try to mess everything up?
Okay, let me provide a little background information first. So, dated my ex for approximately 4 years, broke up about 2 years ago. During the time we were together, we acquired, he purchased them, but they were our cats, very bougie cats. They were expensive. When we ended up breaking up, we tried to make things work for a little bit, and then I decided I was going to move about 6 months afterwards across the country. So did that. Upon the move, I bought the cats off of him. He made me sign this elaborate contract of stipulations to agree to in order to keep these cats in addition to the payment. So that was a little bit crazy, but did it, whatever. Love the cats. But had here and there communication with him since then. Because, he's not an ideal human, but the attention. And when you're in a new city, it's difficult to meet people off the bat.
Sure.
So eventually, he started getting real nasty with me. So I cut him off this summer and blocked him on everything. I've been dating somebody new for approximately 4 months, made things official about a month ago. And then here's where the issue comes in. Get an email, because again, I blocked him on everything, but didn't think to block him on email. Max sends me an email and says that he's coming into town to meet with his best friend. His best friend lives in the city I live in, and that he is demanding to see the cats. And if I do not let him see the cats, he will just show up to my apartment unannounced. So where the issue lies is, do I give in to his request and set up a time for him to meet the cats? Or do I just take the risk he's going to show up at my door and kind of blow things up? Because I don't want to set a bad precedent into my relationship going forward by lying, but I also don't want to expose all of this baggage as well and set a bad tone in that way, because it's so early on. That's a brief summary of it all.
Yeah, no, you did a good job. How early on in this relationship is it?
We've been seeing each other since the end of July, but things were made official about a month ago.
Okay.
So it's fresh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you should be honest with the dude and tell him about your psycho ex and tell him exactly what's on the table, just like you told us.
You're afraid it's going to scare him away?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's tough because, it kind of depends on the guy and knowing him. I'm the kind of guy that wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't think twice about it. But I do know a lot of guys who, if they're not completely invested yet and you give them that, they would probably run for the hills.
Yeah, so I dated a guy and his psycho ex showed up at the door when I was at his apartment, and she was banging on windows, she was banging on doors, and I had to hide out in the apartment until she left. And needless to say, wasn't a fan of that kind of drama. And I wish he would have given me a heads up, because we were just there and I was ill prepared. So if there is a fear of your ex showing up and doing something like that, I feel like you need to give him a heads up.
Jan, I actually think most guys in this situation wouldn't be weirded out by it. This is just my opinion, but feel free to step in. They would get protective in this situation. So I almost feel like it might even end up working out in your favor. You don't need to paint yourself as some victim, but if you explain that you dated this guy who was totally cuckoo bananas and that he might be showing up to your apartment like crazy, he might be like, you know what, it's time for me to step up as a man, and it might make him feel, kind of like a man around you.
And you might even do what you did with us and be like, hey, so my ex reached out and he wants to see the cats, and explain to him the situation and be like, ask for his advice and see what he thinks you should do.
One of the scariest nights of my life was the psycho ex showed up at the apartment of the girl that I was seeing. The psycho ex was an MMA fighter. So he knocks on the door and she demands I go into the bathroom and not come out. Because she knew I was going to get pummeled.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So there I am, just cowering in there, waiting for the confrontation to end.
How long were you in the bathroom?
4 days.
She's sliding you food under the door.
Even when he left, I'm like, I'm not coming out.
You shut the door.
All right, so final advice here?
I would talk to him and just kind of like not brace him, but ask his advice on what he thinks you should do.
I would talk to him. I would let him know just so that he's not surprised in case your unhinged ex decides to show up.
Yep.
That would be worse.
Don't keep it from him. Make him feel like a man.
Yep.
The Bert Show.